couple of weeks ago, I talked about how you have to use paid ads in order to gain any visibility as an author in 2019. I also recommended to use Amazon ads, but I didn't really get into what those ads are, so I thought I better close that loop today. We're going to remove any confusion about what Amazon ads are and clarify which type of ads are available, my results and recommendations on each. And by that, also why you should care about Amazon ads in the first place. If you are a fantasy author, then you've come to the right place. My name is Jesper, and together with Autumn, I host this channel. Between us, we've published more than 20 novels, and our aim is to help you in your writing and marketing endeavors. The first thing I need to do is to give a huge shout out to Bill Finlay, who is our newest supporter on Patreon. There is a link in the description field below if you also want to check out Patreon, but you are going to get stuff like fantasy bookmarks, or how about a Am Writing Fantasy t-shirt, or even you'll have the possibility to get custom made fantasy maps. But enough of that, let's get into the topic of Amazon ads. Amazon ads used to be called Amazon Marketing Services, or AMS as some refer to it, and I still do from time to time. But they've still rebranded and they are now known as Amazon ads. It used to be so that these ads were only available for those who were selling physical devices or components, and it wasn't even possible for authors to use them. But nowadays you can fortunately run Amazon ads regardless of whether or not your books are released in KDP Select, meaning if you are exclusive to Amazon or not. Even that they didn't used to do, so in this case the good news is that everyone is on a level playing field, but this obviously also means that there is another thing to learn. Fear not though, because I'm going to give you an overview here to make things easy. But a good place to start is why you should even care about Amazon ads. Well, the thing is that these ads are served on the Amazon website, and when people browse the Amazon website, they do so because they are looking to buy something. Opposite something like Facebook ads, for example, where people are busy interacting with friends and family, or checking out a group that they might belong to, or something like that. At any rate, people are not on Facebook because they want to buy something. A Facebook ad has to catch the person's attention, and then it has to get them to click the ad. It then takes the person off of social media and onto a store like Amazon, for example, hoping that they will then make a purchase. But as you can see, that's quite a journey with multiple clicks and the risk of losing the person's interest all along the way. With Amazon ads, the people seeing the ad is already there with the intention to buy something, and they can do that within 2 clicks only. One click on the ad and then the buy click. That's it. You've got 2 types of ads at your disposal. The first is the sponsored product ad, and then the other is lock screen ads. The lock screen ads is a fairly new thing. It has replaced the previous product display ads, and the lock screen ad will show up on when people unlock their Kindle e-reader. So right there on the home screen, before they start reading, they can be shown an ad of your book. Opposite the product display ads, the lock screen ad is also capable of showing up on the new Kindle Fire tablet, so that's pretty cool. Let's take a closer look at the effectiveness of these lock screen ads now that we are already talking about them. And then we will circle back to the sponsored product ads in a moment. One would think that these ads should work really well. After all, they are showing up right there on people's Kindle But overall, and in my experience, and I can only speak from personal experience, they're not as effective as the sponsored product ads. In fact, I would say very far from it. Now, keep in mind that when I talked about how you have to run ads in 2019, I also said that you have to experiment on your own. Just because I can't get these ads to work, then it doesn't mean that you will experience the same results. I do know of authors who have turned significant profit with lock screen ads or product display ads, as they used to be called. In my case, I haven't been able to replicate it though. Perhaps the fact that the ad is showing to potential readers right when they are lying or sitting down to read is what makes them less effective. I don't know, but at least for me, that's not the time that I'm thinking about buying a new book. I don't know about you. I think in that particular moment, it's much harder to convince someone to buy a new book.
It is because you worthless humans are too lazy.
Well, hi there, old McGrumpy. I'm glad to see that our resident co-host decided to show up today. Well, at least if you have something insightful to share today, old McGrumpy. Do you? Have you something insightful to share? Otherwise, feel free to leave.
Always.
Well, maybe you think it's insightful, but it has to pertain to Amazon ads.
You should just find an advertising company and ask them to run your ads for you. Then you do not even have to worry about all this stuff you are babbling on about. People could be writing instead of watching YouTube videos.
Advertising companies, you say? Well, if you do find an advertising company who wants to run your ads for you, I would advise that you think about it before you jump in.
Why?
Well, good that you ask, because an advertising company will never care as much about your books and your sales as you will. Besides, with a bit of patience and practice, there's nothing that they can do for you that you can't do yourself. So I would say save your money.
It always comes down to money with you worthless humans.
Well, not always, but I don't think that's true. But money is important to us. That much is fair enough to say. But with that said, we can move on to the sponsored product ad, because those I have been able to turn profitable. First, where do the sponsored product ad appear? Well, if a reader goes to Amazon and type in, say, fantasy book in the search bar of the Kindle store, then the results will be displayed. However, if you as an author have created a sponsored product ad with the keyword fantasy book, then your ad will compete with all other ads for that specific keyword. The one with the highest bid will win the auction and be displayed as one of the search results. You can test it out yourself by going on to Amazon.com, for example, select the Kindle store and then search for something. And when you hit enter, you will find that the top results will have a little sponsored text next to them. So it says that little label sponsored, and that's because these are sponsored product ads. To be honest, as long as your book is relevant to the keywords that you are bidding on, I don't really think that readers care one bit about it saying sponsored or not. If they are looking for a fantasy book and that's what appears at the top of the search result, they will click it. If you then done a good job with the cover, the book description, and you have some reviews to serve as social proof, then there is no reason why they wouldn't make the purchase as well. So when you create these ads, you are asked to tell Amazon how much you want to bid per keyword. Essentially, every time somebody clicks on your ad, Amazon will then charge you up to that amount that you're bidding. Not necessarily the full amount, it all depends on the competition for that particular keyword. But to be on the safe side, you better expect it to be the full amount when you are sort of budgeting. But don't worry, these ads are not expensive as long as, and only as long as, you don't go crazy with your bidding. Of course, if you start bidding $2 per hit, then it's going to be expensive pretty fast. However, my advice is to completely ignore the suggested bid that Amazon gives you, and then keep your bidding at between 30 and 50 cents per click instead. Somewhere in that range. Now, it obviously depends on how much you're selling your book for. So if you're selling a box set that you sell for, let's say $9.99, then you can afford to bid a bit more. Conversely, a book being sold for $2.99 or 99 cents can't sustain as high as a bid as the one we talked about before if you want to turn a profit. I think the main reason for these type of ads being so incredibly effective is because that they're showing up right in the middle of the buying process. It's basically right when the reader has typed in fantasy books, if we use that example, and then they're scrolling through the options to see what they want to buy, and your ad appears right there. Very effective. In terms of the keywords, keep in mind that you are only actually paying for the keywords that gets clicked. Therefore, the only logical course of action is to load as many keywords as you can to get maximum exposure. Each ad will accept 1,000 keywords, and I always recommend to include as many as you can. Most of my ads has 1,000 keywords in each of them. So, you might be thinking, 1,000 keywords? Are you crazy? There is no way I could come up with 1,000 keywords. And no, I can't come up with 1,000 keywords either. So that's why I will release some stuff about KDP Rocket within the next few weeks. It's a piece of software that will help you out tremendously when it comes to keyword research. Otherwise, you can of course use Google AdWords to generate a list of keywords if you are on a budget. At least that's free. It's not the KDP Rocket expensive either, but if you're looking for something free, then, well, use Google AdWords. In order to create a winning ad, you have to test out different ad copy. So test out different variations and keep loading the system with more and more ads and more keywords. At this point of time, I'm probably advertising something like 20,000 keywords on Amazon. And that might sound like a lot, and perhaps it is, but if you are just creating like 1 or 2 ads every week, you'll get there sooner or later. Oh, and something else worth mentioning too. The Amazon dashboard that shows the results of your ads it's quite slow to populate. Sometimes it can take up to 2 weeks for it to show all the sales, so don't make your decisions on whether an ad is successful or not based on the ad dashboard. You can use the Acor score, which it shows in the ad dashboard, to get sort of a general bearing about the results. So as long as you are under 70% in Acor score, you're turning a profit, since Amazon gives you 70% royalties. However, the only sure way to determine your success is to check your sales via the KDP dashboard and then compare your revenue with the invoices that you're getting for your ads. That way there is no second guessing. If you have any questions, just fire away in the comment section below. I've tried to condense this topic around ads into something that is fairly easy to understand, but I am of course also having to take the assumption that you know how to create these ads and how to operate the dashboard and so forth. If that's not the case, well, as I said, make use of the comment section. See you next Monday.